Good morning, everybody. Good morning and happy Mother's Day to those of you that are in the UK, whether you be mums of babies or whoever, whatever. Um, and maybe, unfortunately, for some people whose children are even not here anymore, because I know that there are some of you that have got that as well. So my heart is out to you as well, my lovelies. So let us look. Hopefully you remember to change the clock. So, well, otherwise you wouldn't be here, would you? Because otherwise you would be thinking that it's still an hour to go yet. So I'm glad that you did do such a thing today. And I thought we'd go with some older dies as well and newer bits and pieces. So what have I got for you today? I'm going to be using one of John Nextdoor's media collection, which is called Time Flies. Now, again, many of you will have had this from when it came out quite a few years ago now. But, you know, we need to use it. We need to get that out and use it. And what better way to use it than to use it with this gorgeous time, I should say, embossing folder by Nellie Snellen. Now, one thing I meant to say before we get going, because I can hear a buzzer going in my kitchen, but it reminded me that I am expecting a delivery literally any minute. So if I've got to, well, not if I've got to go, I will have to go to the door because there isn't anybody else here. Staff got the day off again, and you know what it's like. Oh, I thought that was the staff then. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Now, I did that on purpose, didn't I? Sorry. Stand by your beds. Stand by your beds. Yeah, so let's use these lovely things. And I've also got a really pretty little sentiment that I'm going to be using today. And that is one of the new, new Seal Wilson ones called Thought of You Today. I just thought it was a nice different one here. So I've done a little bit of cutting out and a little bit of je ne sais quoi. Let us bring this in because this is what I've started off with. So I've started off with a craft card base, which is 7x7. And then I thought I'd go a little bit different because I had a few bits and pieces left over. So I've gone with some of the craft artist card in mirror of the black, so that's shiny, and then with one of vintage copper in the satin, because I thought that goes together quite nicely. So I'm going to pop that as our card base. And then I've taken my ordinary black card and I'm going to, let's pop this into the center. I'm going to emboss that with my folder. So just pop these down. Slightly get that over the side and just slot that into place. Now, if you are using the mirror card, you just need to give it a second or two longer than normal just to grab, because of the fact that it's a shiny surface, and although it will grab it just a little bit longer just to get that going. So I'm going to place that all to one side just for the moment. And then I have already done this embossing folder. So I've got a second piece of card here, which I'd cut out already. So, but I think we'll go with this. So if you have a look, I've cut out a piece which is 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres, or 6 inches by 6 inches. And that will give me a little bit of a border all the way around. But I don't actually want a little bit of a border all the way around. I want to trim that down. So it's either a case of trimming it down before you put it in or afterwards. But let's have a look. So hopefully we should be able to comfortably trim that all the way around, because it's sort of like a flat edge all the way around, and it should then get us to about 14.5 by 14.5. Just check that that fits onto my card base nicely, which it does. So yeah, now I'm going to get out my this, what's it called? Oh, oblige. Mica Magic. What's the matter with me today? I'm going to get out my Mica Magic just to, oh, there is a right and a wrong way, just to pick up these colours, because I just think that works the best. And all I'm going to do is pop a bit of that underneath it, otherwise it'd be all over on the surface. I'm just picking up with my fingers, and I'm just picking up all of these colours. Just love the way that this works. I don't have to be clever, I don't have to be talented, I just have to have a finger. And if you have a finger, you can do this. Hopefully you've got more than one finger. But I'm not having to sort of, all I'm doing is really rubbing off what I've got on my finger here. So just picking it up, and I'm sure that you can see as I'm going along that it's really picking it up well. So where I haven't done it, beautifully embossed, you have a look at that, you can hopefully see, whoops, like that. But picking it out like this just makes it pop, really. So I'm putting my finger into the pot, picking it up, and I'm actually going straight down onto it, but then rubbing it in. So it's not that I've got to be too careful. As I said, just trying to get rid of it on my finger, really. So just picking up all of those bits and rubbing that all in, which I think looks really lovely now. Just rubbing it on the sides. So although it's like a Mica Magic is like a creamy consistency, sort of almost like an eyeshadow can be, because not all eyeshadows are the same, but that type of thing. But at the same time, it doesn't need to be sprayed to make it set like some of other powders that I've used that do a similar sort of thing. But you can see that it gives it a sheen, hopefully, because it was quite a flat piece of card otherwise, flat black, but now we've got that sheen. And not only that, what I've used it for is to pick out all this lovely detail there. So let's get rid of the Mica Magic for a minute, and I'm going to wipe my finger with a bit of spray, so that hopefully it will be a clean finger. So you can see, yes, a clean finger. Comes off quite well. So this is going to go onto my base there, and hopefully you can also see now that the colours that I've used behind, so the mirror in the black, the jet black, and then the satin in the vintage copper, has just pulled out those colours, which I think look really nice. So I'm just going to stick that down here, and then I'm going to make my lovely Time Flies clock up, because it's just a lovely feature to have in the centre here. So I'm just going to pop that down, and again it's going onto that shiny surface, so I'm just going to let it sit and stay, a bit like a dog. Sit and stay. So we have got here the media time collection. Now, if you haven't got these items, they are available on the website under the maximumcrafts.com Facebook Live section, and there's a selection. There are either the bundle of obviously a special deal with the Time Flies and the embossing folder, or you can buy them separately. So because some of you may have some and not the other, so they are available separately if you would like them. So on the back, this is what we have. We have our lovely clock, which has got various different elements: outer piece, numbers, inner piece, the little word London, a bit like you might have Amiga or something like that, you know, in there. We've got some fantastic 2 different sizes of our hands for our clock, so they make a nice change, so you can use 2 different ones there. And we've also got this ampersand which you can make into the face of a clock if you wish, because you've got the numbers on there too. And as I said, the smaller one as well. So I'm going to make a selection of these and show you how I go about it as I'm doing it. So I'm first of all going to take the outer piece and I'm going to cut it out in 2 ways. I'm going to cut it out from a plain black piece and I'll just run that through. Whoops, crash, a bang wallop. And just run that through like that. Now, when it comes out, it has a little dot, and I want you to save that, or rather I should say I'm saving it, not I want you to. So that's that piece, and that will come out with a circle, and then also my outer piece. I'm not sure if you can see that. Maybe not, but you've got a lot of detail along this bit here. So that's that piece. I'm also going to then take that from a piece of vintage copper, and I'm going to cut that same one out of there. Just running that through. Oh, June, hope you have a nice time with your son. I've just seen that you're otherwise waylaid. Nice to see the family. Same thing here. I'm going to take out that little dot, and now I've got my 2 pieces. Oh, you can see that better. Can you see the detail in the little sort of winder bit? So that's that. So then, pop these away. I have got my inner piece here with all, oh gosh, with all the numbers on and everything. So I'm going to cut these out from both of the pieces that came out of my bit here. So I'm going to cut it out in the copper first, like that. And this will cut out a little ring there, but it will also cut out my 2 pieces here. So I will have my inner piece and my outer piece because I've got my numbers here. So I've got sort of got like waist and not waist. Just take my numbers from there. So I've got 2 pieces. So I want to save both of these pieces. So waist and not waist. And then I'm going to do exactly the same from my black piece here as well. So I'm just going to pop that into the center as well and run that through. Now you could obviously do it differently than I'm doing it, but I quite like the idea of it all being a little bit different. So that's where we're going with it. So we've got that again, that little ring, bit in the center. And whoops, just poke out these few bits here so that we push out the sentiments, push out the die, I should say, but with the same way. Okay, so that we've got that inner piece and the outer piece. Whoops. Like that. Okay, so how I'm going to do that then is going to pop this one, line it up into the center of it there, because I think that looks really nice, that I've got the sort of gold, not gold, copper pieces in there. And then obviously this is like a second one put it around the right way, that you've got, well, then a choice of whichever way that you fancy doing it, whichever you think is a better way of doing it. So you've got your two pieces, kind of like one is from waste and one isn't, but I think they both work, so we're okay with that. Now, I'm also going to take another piece of, just trying to think whether to go for another piece of my decisions, because I'm thinking about this. Is this just a bit too much? Oh, do you know? I think I'm going to be really, really a bit, je ne sais quoi here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my piece from here. You can see I'd already done it once. I'm going to cut this out, just playing, just allow me to play. Because I quite like that. I quite like that background. So let's just pop that through. Oh, looks like lots of people are doing all sorts of things for Mother's Day. Lucky old you. Let's just pop that into there. So my theory is, I've got my circle here that I'm going to pop it onto. So that's going to go there. My black's going to go over there. And then my sentiment bits are going to go on there. Yeah. Now, we've got another circle here, which I could cut out. So many pieces to this, so many pieces. But I'm also going to cut out my little hands. So let's just have a play with that as well, because just like using all the different elements on here. So I can pop that onto there because that's going to go with that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that one, but we'll go with it and have a look. And then I'm going to cut out my smallest of my hands, my clock hands. So just cut those out. Not quite sure which I'm going to go for at the moment. Decisions. You can help me decide when we pop that all together. Yeah, not everybody is celebrating Mother's Day today, is it? Because I know, I think it's different in America as well, isn't it? Well, because my son that is out in America at the moment informed me that I should think myself very lucky because he has remembered, despite the fact that there was nothing to remind him, because he is in America at the moment, as they haven't got theirs yet. And I did question this and say, was it him that remembered or was it his fiancée that remembered? And he said he wasn't going to answer such a question. We know, don't we? We know. Now, what do you think here? So we have the choice of either, let's put these pieces together so we can see what we're doing. So I've got my circle there. Just going to pop that into the center. And then I'm going to put this one. Oops. That's the easiest way to put it on, isn't it? Is onto there. And that goes on there like that. Then I'm going to turn this upside down and pop that there. And I'm going to put this on with my glue glaze. So I'm just going to wipe the back of all of this so that I'm getting glue on it, but at the same time, I'm getting it on all of the little Roman numerals, because otherwise it's going to be a bit of a sticky mess trying to get all of those bits. So that's what I would suggest you do. If you do have glue glaze, use that. If not, pop your glue on from behind, because I think you'll find that that will be a bit easier to use. Now, obviously, we need to get this around the right way. We need to find where number 12 is. So that's going to be up the top there. Obviously, number 6 down the bottom. And pop that into place. And because we've managed to get glue on all of the pieces, that will stick down quite nicely there. So now we've got a choice. I can either pop that into the center, then use my piece that we got left over, if you recall from cutting out, and then put my hands in. So that one there. Or do they need to be different colour even? So we've got that. That's not really going to show up very well, is it? So the alternative is to pop that straight in the centre, and then the hands on like that. What do we think? What do we think? Gold hands. Yeah. Yeah, I reckon. Well, gold hands. I'm not going to do gold hands. I think I'm going to do I go gold hands, or do I do the copper that's on the back? Gold, I think. Gold, I think. Or not gold. That's copper as well. But an antique copper or vintage copper. They're all different, aren't they? Let's give them a different go, shall we? So let's go with this colour, which is the antique copper. And we'll cut them out like that. See what you think then. Copper to match. They're both copper. They're both copper. Antique or vintage, whichever you fancy. So let's try. Oh, so I'm bringing this in again to here so that you can see. So should we put that in the center with that in the center? I think that, don't you? I think that looks better. Let's just poke this one out as well. That's better. Yeah? Copper on the black circle. Yeah. I think you're right. I think if we went for the matte one, shall I just do that? Hold on, let's just do that so that you can just see. Because I think you'll find that if I was to put this more shiny one onto here, it wouldn't look right because the numbers and everything. But let's just have a look in case. Yeah, looks like we all agreed on that, so that's good. We'll just double check in case there's people screaming to me that I've got it all terribly wrong. But I think you will agree that if I take that off and that off, that this doesn't look right. I don't think that that's right. What do you think? I think that this colour is better. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lay all of those together and build them up. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because they're so precious that they really could do with being layered to give them a bit more of substance. So I'm going to use all of the colours that I cut out that end up with the antique copper on the top. So I'm just using the glue glaze to go over the top because it's easy to put that on in such a whoops, she says. Oh, put that on properly. Again, I'm trying to put it onto something a bit shinier, aren't I? So less haste, more speed, or whatever they say. So that's my hands for that. Just leave that there for a second. I'm going to do exactly the same for that. So start off with the black one. Pop some glue glaze onto that. Then I'll use the shiny one, just to use all the layers up, having gone to the bother of cutting it out, but more importantly, to give it a bit more substance, because it is a very thin piece of card. It's amazing how thin that they can cut, but there are some even thinner pieces coming our way. There we go. I'll just hold that into place, and it just gives us a little bit more. Oh, let's put our clock together. So I'm going to put my circle in the centre. Oh, do you know what? I'm dreadful. Could I put that in the centre? Oh, do you know what? Hey, no, I can't. Because if I put that in the centre, no. If I put that in the centre, the way that I've done it, you won't be able to see the words. So we're not going to do that. Not going to do that. Yes, Samantha, if you layer them, it does seem to be, if you're doing something really like a sentiment or something, because I've done that with a sentiment as well, it does seem to be a lot better. So let's pop our, try and get it into the centre like that. And then most clocks, now if you look at our piece here, you can see that most of the clocks have got this sort of 10 to 2 type of format there. So that's the way that we are going to pop them. So we will put it as 10 to 2. I'm going to put a bit of glue on the back there. And that goes in the centre. So that second little hole goes in the centre. And then this one goes over the top and goes to the number 2, which is there. So that, hold that into place whilst it sets. So a 10 to 2. Right, no more fiddling. Let's just pop this all together. Pop all them back in there so we know that that's where they are. And bring my card in. Now, I have just been a bit careful with that one. I have also previously cut out another little band here to sit in the centre, and then our other little one to sit in the centre there as a sort of oh, don't want that bit, as a sort of somewhere to put the sentiment, somewhere for it to show up type of thing, which I think will look quite nice. So let's put this one on here first. So that onto there, and I've cut it out so that I haven't got a border all the way around, but I have got a border top and bottom. I thought that that looked quite nice. And then that is going to go into the centre, into there. Sort of down here a little bit, I think. So not quite the centre. Onto there. And then my clock. Oh, nearly forgot. So I cut out a circle like this, which gave us the numbers and everything. But if you recall, I said to you that it's got like a quite detailed winder or whatever you call that part of a clock. So I'm just going to cut that along that bottom edge and just cut that piece out. I'm just going to trim it so that it is not, well, I was going to say sharp, but it's hardly sharp. And I'm going to stick that onto the top as if that's the winder. Yeah, I just thought that that looks quite a nice thing to do as well. So that onto there. Now I'll have to put a bit of foam onto there, but I'm not quite sure whether that's stuck properly, so I'll have to be a bit careful. I think what I'll do is, instead of sticking it onto the back, I'm going to stick it onto the front of here, because I just want to, that's where it's going to sit. So we'll do it that way round and hope for the best. Hope that we're going to cover all of it. I think we will. I'm going to pop it at an angle and just stick that onto there. And then, as I said, I've cut out my sentiment already. So this is Thought of You Today, which I said is, I think it's quite a nice one to do. But I have already cut it out 3 times and done exactly what I did to the hands on here, which was wipe it all with the glue glaze, because that's an easier way to put an application on for something like this, I found. And then that gives you a bit more strength to it. And it shows up a little bit more as well, which I think is quite nice. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that over. And this is how I'd layered this one as well. So I just wipe it all from the outside. It all dries clear, so if it just seeps through to the front, it's fine. Just pop that all on there so that it can get all the little kind of like nooks and crannies, you could call it, but all the little fancy bits there. Dries very quickly, so do be aware of that. Not a lot of wriggle time with it. And then that, did that picture dry? Never mind, we'll do that in a second. That can go onto there like that. So as we said, Thought of You Today. And because it's got that kind of substance to it, the thickness of it, it just holds that a little bit better, I think. So there we are. There is our lovely time to think, Thought of You Today, time flies, whatever. So let me just tell you about what I have got there. So I had, in terms of card, we've used a craft card base, 7x7. Then I have used the Craft Artists Gloss Jet Black card. Then I've used the Craft Artist Satin Vintage Copper card. And then I've used a piece of ordinary black card. We've also used, for these colours, is the Antique Copper, Foundation Card Antique Copper. So I've cut out my shapes and everything from the Thought of You Today Mini Expressions die here, from the Time, it's just called Time, embossing folder by Nellie Snellen, which is the background, which I've coloured with the Craft Artist Mica Magic. And finally, my beautiful clock, which is quite a centerpiece there, is this one, which is called Time Flies by John Next Door. And that's that one as well. So a fair few elements, some of which many of you will already have. I'm sure of that. If there are any elements of it that you would like, I do have some on the website. And as I said, they can either be bought as a bundle for the 2 time elements of it or individually, because I know a lot of people will already have one or the other. So there we go. There is our card for Mother's Day. Thought of you today, which I am thinking of you all today. And I do hope you have a lovely day. The card is all on the website as well, and that will be under the card section of the cardstock section of the website. Okay. Have a great day. I will be back on Wednesday this week, which is the 30th, I think, possibly. Yeah, on the 30th of March with another little project for you to see. And I will be back next Sunday, which would be already the 3rd of April, with the monthly card kit. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. So take care. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot then. Bye.